blatant cases of double standards. My school English teacher, upon hearing anything even remotely resembling a phone, would always shout, "Whose phone is this?" If nobody responded immediately, she would go around the entire class, and if any student, in her opinion, behaved suspiciously, she would make them empty their pockets, bags, and dump everything on the desk. If a student had a phone, she would confiscate it. If there were unread notifications on the phone, she would read them aloud, but sometimes, she would shout, then lower her gaze, start giggling, and say, "Oh, it's my phone," and then start texting someone. To make matters worse, she was a terrible English teacher. I remember reading a story on Reddit about a guy who almost had his child abducted. If I recall correctly, the situation went like this. The man was standing outside a store with a stroller, waiting for his wife and child. Suddenly, some woman rushed up to them, yelling that he had stolen her child, grabbed the stroller, and calmly walked away. Bystanders grabbed the man and began brutally beating him, to the point of breaking his ribs. Throughout this ordeal, he was screaming that the child was his, and that she was the kidnapper. The crowd only stopped beating him when his wife came out of the store and confronted the woman. That's when the woman calmly released the stroller and left without anyone stopping her. The police, who arrived at the scene, criticized the man for looking suspicious. I remember reading a post about a guy who worked in a company with a woman who constantly made fun of him and laughed at his legs when he was wearing shorts. She would say that he had chicken legs, and so on. Eventually, he got tired of it and told her that she had elephant legs. Right after that, he started having problems with the HR department. Once in middle school, we went on a hiking trip. We had paid a substantial amount of money for it. Upon arrival, we witnessed the following. The girls' rooms at the camp were luxurious, with thick clay walls, refrigerators, and power outlets everywhere. In short, it was pure luxury. And what did the boys get? A shack with cardboard walls located 15 minutes away from the main gathering place. Right next to the dam, there were more holes in the walls than in a piece of Swiss cheese. I still can't shake the feeling that we got taken for a ride. My mom used to get annoyed that I was always at home, not visiting friends and such. At some point, I got a girlfriend and a job, and now she's irritated that I'm never home. My ex-girlfriend was the same way. She used to get mad that I stayed at home, and she couldn't be alone. Well, I started going out with friends and doing my own thing, and all of a sudden, it turned out that I was spending too little time with her. I have 2 younger brothers. They have different mothers. One day, we were having breakfast with one of their moms. The other brother is quite picky when it comes to food. He doesn't like vegetables, but he never complains and tries his best to eat what's given to him. So, after breakfast, the mother got up to make coffee, and in the meantime, the boys quickly swapped their plates. By that time, her biological son had eaten almost everything, and the adopted one had consumed about half of what was given to him. After that, they both got up and brought their plates to her, saying they were done. The mother calmly accepted them. The point is that when her biological son says he's full, she believes him. However, when her adopted son claims he's full, she's not satisfied. So, they pretended that the adopted son ate more. They knew that the mother would take the plate away from her biological son no matter what was left on it. I didn't let them know that I was aware of the trick they pulled, and most likely had done before, but I like that the kids found a way to bypass her double standards. My coworker, a middle-aged woman, had been constantly complaining about her son-in-law. One day, she complained to me that he doesn't clear the snow off her daughter's car, claiming that it's something every man should do. I told her, "Okay, but how would you feel if he said the same about doing the dishes, that it's every woman's duty?" She paused and then admitted that she had never thought about it in that way. My ex-girlfriend, whom I dated in high school, often accused her friends' boyfriends of things she did with me. For example, we used to meet every weekend, and she wanted to see me more often. However, we lived 40 minutes away from each other. Gas was expensive, and I was broke. Additionally, I had a lot of homework and extracurricular activities, so on weekdays, I was busy. At some point, she got angry and declared that I should let her know when I care about her and when I can allocate time for her in my schedule. Shortly after that, we were talking on the phone, and she told me what a jerk her friend's boyfriend was. It turned out that the guy essentially said the same thing to his girlfriend. When I pointed this out to her, she started making up some nonsense and talking about how our situation was different. Most men's restrooms do not have changing tables for children. My boyfriend also complained about this issue. Once, a passerby approached him and asked suspiciously what he was doing in his car. He was changing his daughter's diaper on the back seat. He replied that there was no changing table in the men's restroom, and he wasn't going to change her diaper on the floor of a public restroom. One of our regional managers was sentenced to a year in prison for driving under the influence. If you know anything about Texas laws regarding driving under the influence, you should understand that he had multiple offenses. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been incarcerated. Upon his release from prison, he was immediately reinstated in the company and promoted to a director position. At the same time, we had a newcomer who was reprimanded when he decided to come to a complete stop at a stop sign. The company promptly terminated his employment. At work, if I'm 5 minutes late, the management will always express their dissatisfaction, but if I stay 15 minutes past the end of the workday, no one even mentions it. There was a guy at our company who, in addition to his own work, did the work for others, which, in turn, had a positive impact on the company's affairs. He did all of this just because he was a good worker. He wasn't paid extra for it, and he didn't receive any praise from the management. Well, maybe an occasional thank you. Once, due to certain circumstances, he had to arrive late for work. Upon entering the office, he received a message from his supervisor asking him to come into his office. He met with the supervisor, and the supervisor said to him, "We can't tolerate lateness in our company. If you're late again, you will be fired." The person tried to say something in his defense, citing all the extra work he did, but the supervisor responded, "You were not asked to do all that, but you are obligated to arrive on time." After that, the person decided that from now on, he would only do what he was asked to do. The situation at work began to deteriorate, and the company delayed the completion of some contracts. The person continued to do only what was required of him, and eventually, the company went bankrupt. The moral of the story is this: acknowledge both the good and bad actions of your employees. Providing feedback that addresses only the negative aspects without mentioning the positive contributions your employee makes can be incredibly costly to a company. In such a situation, try to phrase it differently. "I appreciate all that you do for us, but please try not to be late anymore. Let's work together to find a solution to this issue." It is entirely possible that this kind of feedback approach can save your company in the long run. An employee should notify the employer 2 weeks before their departure. Any other options are considered unprofessional. At the same time, the employer will carefully conceal their intentions to dismiss the employee until the very last moment. Once I had to train my replacement, they assigned a newbie to me as my assistant, so obviously, I wanted to train him properly. After my days off, I returned to work, and my boss immediately called me into his office. He said that my assistant had been promoted to my position and thank you for helping him quickly get up to speed on his duties. If I wake up at 4 in the evening and go to bed at 9 in the morning, I'm considered a lazy piece of crap who does nothing all day. If you wake up at 4 in the morning and go to bed at 9, you are considered a responsible person and an important member of society. And it doesn't matter that you work the same number of hours, earn the same money, and do the same household chores. If you owe any company, they will start charging you interest/penalties for the delay or may even stop providing service almost immediately after the due date. But if the company owes you money, you will receive it in 4 to 6 weeks or 2 to 3 billing cycles. Forgot to pay for the internet? They will disconnect it right away. You need to get your cash, but if there's some outage on the provider's side, and you're without the internet for a week, well, things happen. I by no means consider it a standard, but it happened a couple of times. Your money is our money, but my money is my money. My ex-girlfriend pulled that stunt on me. As soon as I opened a joint account, she betrayed me and withdrew all the funds. Moreover, she used my social security number to empty the savings account. Now it's really hard for me to explain to my current wife why I don't want to open a joint family account. I work as a doctor, which often involves flying with medical equipment. When my colleagues go through security with a bag full of medical stuff, they are asked, "Sir, are you a doctor?" But when it's my turn, they ask me, "Miss, are you a nurse?" Work attire. It seems that the concept of office dress code varies depending on gender. Yes, in this regard, there's a whole war going on. At 35 degrees outside, guys, don't forget to wear pants and long-sleeved shirts. At 35 degrees outside, girls, feel free to wear light skirts and blouses. And then the girls complain that it's chilly inside. Well, I would like to be cool too. Let us wear shorts for everyone's comfort. You know what bothers me the most about these double standards? It's that instead of seeking a solution to the problem, people use them as a way to criticize the opposite gender. Or, on the contrary, some guys come and say, "Oh, well, as a guy/girl, I don't do that. Sorry on behalf of my gender. No need to apologize. Your gender didn't do anything wrong. It's a mistake made by the entire society. All of us." But the good news is that these double standards can be corrected. It will take some time, but everything is fixable. For example, I constantly see comments like, "Why should I pay for everything? It's annoying, dude." In our time, it's not that common. Well, okay, if you don't want to pay for anything, don't date a girl who expects that from you. If you've made it clear that it's not your thing and she keeps insisting, just go your separate ways. There's no need to go against yourself and do something you're not comfortable with. And this applies to all double standards. It's not necessary to conform just because everyone else does it. Part of solving the problem is precisely not adhering to these standards. Remember how people used to frown upon fathers who didn't work and stayed home with the kids? But now, more and more fathers are doing it. And attitudes towards them are changing over time. It saddens me that we have so many double standards, but they can be corrected, even if it's a slow process. Don't throw mud at each other. It won't help the cause. Thank you for watching. If you liked this video, left a comment of more than 4 words, and subscribe to this channel, we greatly appreciate you. Much respect from us. Stay tuned for the next video.